The investigation into the shootings at 2 mosques in New Zealand has seen counter-terrorism officers carry out 2 raids in Australia, where the man arrested for the killings, Brenton Tarrant, grew up. Security officials say the properties in New South Wales are in towns just north of Sydney. New South Wales Police said the primary aim of the activity is to formally obtain material that may assist New Zealand Police in their ongoing investigation, and that the family of the Australian man arrested in Christchurch continues to assist police with their inquiries. Speaking to Australian media, the Australian Home Affairs Minister Peter Dutton confirmed that Brenton Tarrant spent only 45 days in Australia over the past 3 years and was not on any terror watch list. With more on events and developments in New Zealand, my colleague Sharanjit Lale is in Christchurch. Let's go there now.
Well, that's right. It's 3 p.m. in the afternoon here and in Christchurch. And in fact, we've got a brand new week where police have promised a high-profile presence. Schools and businesses reopen. Thousands of people have been attending vigils across the country in memory of the 50 people killed in the terror attack on 2 mosques, including right here at the Botanical Gardens where I am, where people continue to lay flowers and wreaths. Now, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern signed a book of condolences before she held a cabinet meeting on new gun control laws. Speaking on national TV, Ms Ardern said she was determined to change the law and take military-style weapons out of circulation.
I have some initial proposals for Cabinet to discuss today. I don't want to preempt that discussion, but what I can assure you is our gun laws will change. Well, I know, Daniel, that there is understandably both grief in New Zealand right now, but there is anger too. There are questions that need to be answered and that we are looking for as well. We need to provide assurances to the public that everything that could have been done has been done, but whether or not more could and should have been done. So we'll be putting in place what needs to occur to answer those questions. There are ways that we can bring in effective regulation of firearms that actually target those that we need to target, and that is our focus. You know, I think what the public rightly are asking right now is why is it and how is it that you should and are currently able to buy military-style semi-automatic weapons in New Zealand? And that's the right question to ask. I think I'm just feeling exactly the same way that all New Zealanders feel right now. Everyone is grieving, and I'm grieving with them, but I also have a very important job to do. I need to ensure that we are looking after those affected, that they have ongoing care and support, not just in the coming days, but the coming months and years. So that's why I'm incredibly focused. I have a job to do.
Now, the Managing Director of New Zealand's largest gun retailer, David Tipple, confirmed a short time ago that the alleged gunman purchased 4 weapons online from his company, but not the assault rifle reportedly used in the massacre. Mr Tipple refused to engage in any gun law debate, but said he would support legislative changes made by the Prime Minister.
We detected nothing extraordinary about the licence holder. The MSSA, the military-style semi-auto reportedly used by the alleged gunman, was not purchased from Gun City. Gun City did not sell him an MSSA, only A category firearms. I and Gun City fully support the Prime Minister's swift and decisive actions following this tragedy.
Now, the community here in Christchurch, as you can see behind me, they've all come together in the wake of the events here. As I mentioned, it's a brand new week and schools will reopen with special counsellors on hand to help children and teachers traumatised by the attack. And as the country has begun to come to terms with the massacre, tales of heroism, suffering and incredible grace have begun to emerge. My colleague Clive Myrie has this report.
A police helicopter surveys a scene of mass murder below, while on the ground nearby, an armed response stands ready, just in case. Members of Christchurch's Muslim community are gathering to volunteer.
Hello.
They must care for children now orphaned, help feed families that no longer have breadwinners. They must organise the burials of the dead. All this pain because of 30 minutes of madness.
Everybody was frightened.
Many caught up in the violence recorded the aftermath on their phones to bear witness. Abdulaziz was in the Linwood Mosque.
You see
blood all over
that
the
one
floor.
was next to my 11-year-old son.
So that dead man there.
Yeah, because he shot him through the window.
So, and he was standing next to your son.
Yeah.
His 4 children were praying at the time. They survived. Abdulaziz tried to tackle the killer.
When I ran outside, I saw 2 dead bodies on the floor. And I saw one man with the army clothes near his car. And I yelled at him. I said, "Who are you?" And I swear at him. I knew he wasn't an army person or something.
So he was dressed in army fatigues, army clothing.
Yeah, army clothing, everything army. He drops his gun there and ran to his car. When he runs to his car, he saw me. I was chasing him with his own rifle, with his own shotguns.
That he discarded.
Yeah, he discarded on the floor. I just threw the shotgun on his car windows, and he smashed his window. And that time, he got a bit frightened.
The murderer got away, his twisted thoughts made real. It's believed Abu Aziz's courage in taking on the killer helped save lives.
Yeah, inshallah, I wanted to go and
One ray of brightness on a dark day.
Thank you very much.
Well, my colleague Clive Myrie has also been speaking to the Mayor of Christchurch, Leanne Dalzell.
It has been this real disbelief that this could happen here in Christchurch, and I think the reality is that we were chosen for a reason. We're a safe city and a safe country, and that's why this happened here. And I'm not going to give voice to the hatred and the expressions that are seen to be the motives behind this. But I'm pleased to see city leaders around the world standing up against Islamophobia, standing up against racism, standing up against all of those things that drive this form of hatred at the extreme end. This is an extremist act.
I've spoken to many in the Muslim community here over the last couple of days, and they say that what happened does not reflect the attitudes of the vast majority of people, not just in Christchurch, but across the country.
And that's right. I mean, I've been visiting with some of the family members, and they've been using words like, in all the time that I've lived here, and people have lived here for years, they have said, not one word has come from lips to say to me in a bad way anything, and that to me was a very powerful expression. Now, I know that that's not universal, because there are people in the world who don't treat people as equals, but I think that what has happened here, and you can see it in the tributes behind me, that there is this overwhelming outpouring of love and support and compassion and kindness, and I think those are the qualities that so many of our Muslim brothers and sisters, that's what they see in everyday life, and they've seen it expressed here today.
What is your job in trying to bring this community together to heal it after this trauma?
I think that it's really important that people focus on what got us through our experience of the earthquakes, which is neighbours came together and supported each other, communities came together and supported.
Now, we've got a press conference that is currently taking place that we can take you to, and it is the Deputy Police Commissioner, Wally Homaha, speaking right now.
As a result of another family member having been killed. So the desires and the wishes of the family at this point is to wait until we finish the post-mortem with that person, and both will be released together. The process has been very emotional and highly stressful for all, and you can imagine the emotions are running high, as in accordance with the Islamic faith, the families have wanted their bodies to be returned as soon as possible. And we are ensuring that we do that. As I mentioned yesterday, we have 90 people from the Disaster Victimisation Identification Team working through the night. This morning we conducted two important blessings at the Deans Avenue Mosque and at Linwood Mosque. This blessing was carried out by the tangata whenua from Ngaitahu and also with the leaders and the experts from the Islamic community. We have had burial expert teams in place ready to receive the bodies at a point in time. But this blessing this morning gave them huge confidence that all the essential prayers have been lifted at both of those places in preparation, once the investigation has been completed, to reopen those mosques at a point in time. We have met with our criminal investigation team and we hope to have those premises in place by the end of the week to allow our Muslim community to go back and undertake prayer. So at this point in time, I would like to ask Dr. Anwar Ghani, on behalf of the Muslim community, to speak to you about the events that will take place once the deceased have been released.
I would like to invite our President, Dr. Mustafa Farooq, to give you a briefing, and then we will cover the aspects which the Deputy Commissioner has highlighted.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner Wali. All thanks and praises are due to God, the most beneficent, the most merciful. We experienced what happened last Friday in this city of Christchurch. This morning, we went to bless the biggest mosque in the city where many lives were lost. I remembered a few years ago when we had earthquake here in Christchurch, that mosque housed about 500 individuals, providing them, meals every day. And today, that mosque is closed because of what took place last Friday. While our community is mourning, we are saddened by what took place. We were shocked. But as a community, we are a resilient community. We know we are living in a country that we are welcome, that love us, one of the most beautiful and most peaceful countries in the world. So our shock was heightened more because we never expected anything like that would ever happen in this country. And I think those right-wing individuals who are trying to promote hatred around the world picked our beautiful and peaceful country for the same reason that we pride ourselves when we go around to say that we belong to one of the best countries in the world. So they want to bring friction, hatred, division between our communities, and that's why they picked this country. And I would like, before I say anything about what is happening with our community, to give them a reply, a message, that they have failed woefully, because what they have done, if anything, has increased the love and the feeling we have for our own country. And we have also seen the tremendous outpouring of love, what we call aroha, here in New Zealand. It is tremendous. There's no enough words that I can bring to express the amount of aroha and support that we have been receiving, not only within New Zealand, but all over the world. But of course, as you can appreciate, as a community, our focus right now is to look after those people who are injured and are in the hospital, to make sure that they get well, and also to support their families. We are also working hard to support the families of those who lost their loved ones. As the Deputy Commissioner mentioned, some of these bodies are beginning to be released, and the process of burial will commence, and that is where we are focusing our attention. And that's why we are spending most of our time talking to our own community. So Many people are involved. The first thing I would say, right from our Prime Minister down to the person on the street, are involved to help us make sure that we give these people dignified spiritual burial. The hospitals, our own police force, our own security agents, we are working with them very closely, and everything that we need is provided to us. The only thing now that remains is for these bodies to be completely released so that we can bury them. And for us, we would like, on behalf of my own community, to thank everybody for the support and the aroha that we are receiving. And we would like to reiterate that when we go around as Muslims, we tell people that we are living in this most beautiful and peaceful country, and we are aspiring ourselves as Muslims to be the best example of Muslims in the world, so that if somebody is asked, where can you find the best Muslims, the most cohesive, the most devout, they will say, go and find them in New Zealand. That is why what happened last Friday is not going to stop us from aspiring to achieve what we said we are going to achieve. And I want to thank you all, for being here, and I hope that this incident that took place last Friday in Christchurch will never happen again anywhere in the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here this afternoon. The purpose of this meeting is really through you to communicate the masses the message of peace and love, and to also update you where we are in terms of dealing with the process, what has happened. We in this country have had, as a community, had a very strong relationship with the police, unlike in many other countries, where we have the Memorandum of Understanding, which was signed some 15 years ago, where we do, time to time, when we are tested as a community, we do see the support coming from the police in a most positive manner possible. And I'd like to, again, just thank the police, New Zealand police, as well as the wider community, that the support which they have provided. Our focus, as just the President has iterated, is to look after our community and the people, and the process of burial going forward, and then sitting down as a community with all these stakeholders and looking at that how we can do things better, which areas we need to strengthen, and where we need to focus to build tomorrow's New Zealand. Thank you.
Sister Anne.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. These are the most common words that Muslims all around the world say all the time. We say it before we begin anything. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. The events that took place last Friday are beyond comprehension, and we as a local Muslim community, as a national Muslim community, but we as a community of New Zealanders are reeling. Our role is to find out, how do we bring back compassion into this scenario which was so devoid of compassion? Part of the way we do this as a wider community, well, you've seen its expression around the country, the amazing vigils that have taken place, the fountains of flowers that have appeared outside mosques and Islamic centres, the messages of hope and love and togetherness. But for us as a Muslim community, part of the specific way in which we bring compassion to bear in this instance is the way in which we deal with the bodies of our beloved departed. So the process that we are at now is that we will be receiving the bodies once the coroner has released them. They will come into the arms and the gaze of their family, and then their family and community members will honour the body. We believe in the eternal spirit, and the spirit of these beautiful people, men, women, children who lost their lives, is not dead. It is not gone. It is eternal. But the body that once encased them, we respect and we honour. Men will wash and prepare the men's bodies, and women will wash and prepare the women's bodies. We treat the body as if it is still alive. We cover it, we use only warm water, and we cleanse it as we would before we were about to pray. Because we believe that this soul and this body are about to undertake a journey to God, and this is a form of worship. Once we have washed the body, we will wrap the body in pieces of white, unsewn cloth. The reason for doing this is that we believe in the eternal life. We believe in the life of the heart. And that when we return to God, all that we take with us is the heart. Everything else that we accumulated in life, we leave behind. And that's what the white, unsewn pieces of cloth represent. After that, the bodies are released to the family and the burial takes place. And through all of this, we try to remember that what we are bringing back to this tragedy, to this horror, is a sense of compassion. And what has been remarkable about the local Muslim community here is, we have found incredible grief, but not hate. The response to so much hate has been love. It's been incredible. Thank you.
Thank you, sister.
Are there any questions?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to address. My name's Rob Taylor. I'm from the Wall Street Journal newspaper. I'd just like to address one question to perhaps the President as the best person. He was just talking about a dignified burial process, but the gunman at the centre of this has just dropped his legal representation, which is raising some concern of a very undignified trial process, which he will use to sort of espouse more hatred and his views. I just wondered, how concerned is the community about the platform that this trial is going to present the gunman at the end of this?
Thank you. I don't think I'm in the right frame of mind to analyze, what's going to happen. But what I can tell you is that as a community, we would like that person to go through the process, the due process, and to be given all his rights. But the message we would like, to give to the rest of the world is that this rise in hatred perpetuated by people who call themselves right wings, whether, smaller groups or through reckless politicians, should not be allowed to continue. Because what happened to our community here will happen to another community or has been happening to other communities around the world. What we will try collectively to do is to try to make sure it never happens again. And this should involve everyone, ourselves, our government, and you media people. All of us have to take ownership and make sure that this doesn't happen. But as far as this individual is concerned, we will leave the New Zealand justice system to take its course. We believe in the justice system here, and we know it will do what is right.
So just for the Deputy Commissioner, Tegan Dolling from Channel 7 in Australia, what can you tell us about the two police officers who carried out this incredible arrest? We've seen some information come out overnight. We would just like to hear more about them, what they were doing here. We understand they're not from Christchurch.
Yes, but obviously the Commissioner has expressed his absolute support and appreciation for the way they conducted themselves during a very intense and horrific time. Those officers are receiving all the support that they can get from our health and wellbeing people. But at this point in time, a lot of stress, a lot of trauma, understanding what they were confronted with. And so all I can say is at this point in time, they're getting all the support that they need.
And so what were they doing here? We understand that they're not from here, is that right?
I haven't been briefed on that, but if they were here, they were probably being deployed at the time. Once the announcement came over, everybody would have been shouldered to the wheel.
And can you just run us through what do you think of their bravery? How would you explain?
Oh, look, this is an event.
And that was Wally Homaha, the Deputy Police Commissioner here in New Zealand, speaking along with members of the Islamic Federation Association of New Zealand. And essentially what the press conference was about was the speed of which they were working to try hard to return the bodies of those killed at Friday's massacre to their families. We heard from members of the Islamic Federation Association of New Zealand essentially saying that they are working hard to return the bodies to the families so that with Islamic tradition they can have a dignified and spiritual burial. We heard them talk about that essentially, and also thanking many members of the community for their support, a lot of show of solidarity amongst people of New Zealand. And so essentially their big concern is what happens next to the bodies, and that's what they were trying to address in that press conference. There was also a little bit of breaking news just before that press conference about a Christchurch teen who'd been arrested for trying to distribute the video that was live streamed by the alleged killer as he shot the individuals in the mosque. So that's also another piece of breaking news to bring you up to date with. And of course you can find out lots more about any new developments